let's begin. Just make sure. My dog's with us as well tonight, so on the sofa over here. So he's getting all the Taiji secrets tonight. Let's begin with the feet parallel. Just shake ourselves into the feet. Like a bag of flour, just jiggling the whole body and let all the muscles feel loose, especially in the lower back, especially in the shoulder girdle. Start to feel the soles of the feet. Start to feel the whole flat pad of the foot receiving the weight in the ball, the heel, and the outside edge. Which means we just keep the knees a little bit open, creating a nice arc like a sapling bent between the knees. Knees sinking into the feet, nice and stable on the feet. We're lifting the chest. We're dropping the chin and lifting the back of the neck, plucking up the crown of the head. So when I'm standing like this, I've got an awareness of my head top, and at the same time, I've got an awareness of my feet and the sensations in the feet. So everything between the head top and the feet is relaxing. Hi, Esther. I put you on mute because at the beginning of the class, I put everybody on mute. You'll have to unmute if you want to say anything.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry, I had a bit of a technology fail.
Great, come and join us.
Thank you.
Excellent. So if you can, put your camera so you can see the whole of you and join in. There'll be a place to ask questions in the class, but I have to put everybody on mute because of the feedback and stuff like that. See how you get on. We have done a few moves already, but just see how you get on tonight. So we're standing with our feet parallel. Shoulder width underneath the hips. I'm bringing the body upright and I'm lifting the center of the chest or the sternum area, which is just where the ribs finish. I'm lifting that area upwards to open out this area between here and the belly. So I literally feel this whole area elongate, which stops me from this kind of collapse. So I lift the chest, I tuck the chin gently downwards, which lifts the back of the head and plucks up the crown of the head. It's as if I'm suspended from a thread. And from that thread, I let everything soften towards my feet. So feel the sensations of your muscles blending with gravity and releasing towards your feet. Shoulders drop. The chest softens. The lower back relaxes. And you may experience more weight in the soles of the feet. Keep an awareness of the crown of the head. Try to visualize water melting down the whole body and filling the feet. Just going to jig into that position, bouncing lightly to soften all the muscles and release. Feeling the crown of the head, feeling the feet, being aware of the whole body in its upright position, and being aware of mainly not collapsing the chest, mainly keeping the chest upright. And at the beginning, it can take some concentration because the habit, we all have a habit. We work on a computer, we sit in a chair, our back falls forwards into this position with our head forward. We want to keep our head, our chest up, and our head gently balanced on the top vertebra in a light position, and feel our weight into the feet. We do an exercise in that position of we push the feet into the ground, we let the hands float up, we're one fist apart at the height of the shoulders. And then we sink, we bend the knees, we soften the whole body, and we let the thumbs drop onto the crease of the trousers. We push the body up, the body's coming up about an inch. We breathe in. Body's sinking back an inch as we breathe out and settle. Maintaining the lifting of the chest and the awareness of the head top the whole time. Making sure we don't collapse. Making sure there's a very light connection through to the head top. And then, as if there's that strand through the body, the line from our head top through our body, we just let everything melt down that line. Like beads of water just trickling down through the whole body. And the Tai Chi classics, the writings of Tai Chi, tell us that when one part of the body moves, everything moves. So it's not just that the arms are going up and down, it's not just that the legs are going up and down, or the torso, it's that everything is connected, like a piano accordion. When you open the piano accordion, every single little bit of paper in that opens out like a big bellows, and when you close it and create the music or the note, everything closes together. And our bodies are exactly the same. So when we lift up, the whole body is opening. And when we sink, just like a piano accordion, the whole body is closing. So how do we work with that in more depth? Keeping the awareness of the crown of the head, feel as you sink that the hip joints seat. That means, if I come in a bit closer, that this area here, the inguinal area of the body, folds. As I go down, this area folds, and it's just like I'm sitting in a chair. And you can put your hands here or this way, and just feel that there's a softening into this area as you bend your knees. Keep your head top up. And then as you sink, this would be when the hands come down, softening into the hip joints, softening into the hip joints. Every time you move, you're drawing your awareness. I'll just shut the door in case there are some noises in the house. You just draw your awareness into the hip joints and encourage them to melt. We talk about butter in a microwave, so that when you put butter in a microwave, we all know what happens. It melts from the inside. This is the quality we want to try and find in our hip joints. So as we sink, if we bend the knees, as we fall away from the crown of the head, the hip joints are a really important part of how we draw down and stabilize onto the ground. So bringing the hands back to the exercise position, the hands come up as we come up. As we go down, now we've got an awareness on the crown of the head, we're falling away, and we've got an awareness of the change in the hip joints as we sit down. We want to feel anything we can feel in the hip joints, softening of the hip joints, folding of the hip joints, change in the hip joints, the thumbs to the crease of the trousers. Breathe in, the hands come together. Sinking, the hands separate back to the crease of the trousers. So the changes we're looking for, one, smooth release all the way down, so that when I arrive at the bottom, there's nothing left to release. All the muscles have softened, when I say everything softens, we want to let go of unnecessary holding. let go of unnecessary tension in the body and soften all the muscles. We don't need to hold us up. And we push the feet into the ground. Feel the body lift. Let the arms follow that movement. Sink the body. Let the shoulders follow that movement. So Janice, you were asking earlier how the arms move. In Tai Chi, when one part of the body moves, everything follows. What we're trying to do is coordinate the whole of the body movement and the mind together. So they're not separate bits anymore. When we decide to do something, everything changes and moves together. So what we want to try and feel in our practice is when we initiate a releasing, sinking process, which is softening the body to let the body change and melt, blend with gravity and sink, the shoulders join in that process. And the shoulders lead the elbows lead the hands. So it's important when we put the hands down that the movement comes first from seating the hips, followed by the release of the shoulders, the dropping of the elbows, the seating of the wrists, and the finish of the movement. So there's a stage of melting through the whole body. It's not just that we move the legs and move the hands, the whole body is part of the process. Soften the hips, bend the knees, soften the hips, soften the shoulders, drop the elbows, keep softening the shoulders, keep dropping the elbows. Everything finishes together. Breathe in, lift. Start the releasing, the legs soften, the knees bend, the hips seat, the shoulders relax, elbows, wrists, everything softening and sinking. Finish together. 2, 3 more times, lifting. First, the legs soften, the knees bend, the hips seat. The hips continue to seat while the shoulders relax. The hips continue to seat while the shoulders and elbows and wrists and everything finishes together. Keep going. I'd like to have a look at what you're doing. And if anybody has any questions at any time, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask. So Janice, I'm going to suggest if you can put your feet a little bit more parallel. Yeah, bring your feet parallel. There's a reason for that. When your feet are more parallel, it gives more room in the hips for things to change. When the feet are open, it kind of squashes at the top of the hips. Whereas when the feet are open, everything can spread open at the hip level a bit more, which creates more freedom. So we try and keep the feet parallel, the knees above the feet, and then that creates this bridge of the thighs. How they sit, how the hip bones sit into the pelvis is important because we want them to be able to move and change. So for those that have been doing it for a while, okay, try not to have any hand movement until you feel the shoulders following the movement of the rest of the body. It's very easy to drop the hands. What we want is the shoulders to drop first and the shoulder to lead the rest of the hand movement. It's just up to the height of the throat, just up to the height of the shoulder, just to here. 1 fist apart here. And then as the shoulders change, the hands are drawn down as well. This means you have to concentrate, but it's a concentration that isn't just on one part of the body, it's a concentration on everything at the same time, with a focus on the head top and a focus on how the body's changing, sitting the hips, followed by the shoulders and the elbows. Great, looking good. Looking good. There's a nice speed to go up because it's the same speed as the breathing. And it's also a nice exercise because it's when you lift the hands come up and when you sink the hands go down, it's coordinated together with the lift and sinking through the body. So it's an easier one to follow. The timing is straightforward. So when you put yourself down, let's have a break for a minute. Let's give the legs a little shake out. Just give them a good old wiggle. Maybe just loosen up the lower back, loose fists into those two bands of muscle either side of the spine, just to loosen up the lower back. Okay, I'll just explain one more thing and then we'll carry on with this exercise, but I'll just explain another layer to it. When we move, this idea of everything working together is important, and because it's a training idea, the question then is, how do we train it? What do we do? What do we listen for? What do we try and achieve in our practice? And I always try and revert it back to what do we actually do? And when we do it, what do we try and feel? And how do we know if we're feeling the right thing so we can be sure we're practicing in a good way that creates, that creates the right results. So when we move, if you watch my knees, as I sink, my knees are bending, 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 my knees have stopped bending. Okay, they started bending as soon as I started releasing, and they finished bending as soon as my thumb reached the crease of the trousers in the finished position. So the knees are bending the whole time I'm moving. Have a look again. I lift up and the knees lift, 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 finish. The knees bend, 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 the knees bend. The knees are bending, the knees are bending, the hips are sitting, the shoulders are dropping, the thumb's finished, the knees are finished bending. Okay. The knees bending, the hips seating, the shoulder sinking are all part of the concertina closing. And once we start the shoulder sinking, right at the beginning, the shoulder sinks, 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 hand reaches, shoulder's finished. Everything starts at the beginning, finishes at the end. What we don't want to do, and I don't really like teaching by what we shouldn't do, but it's good to do this so you can see if you're doing it. If you watch my movement, bend the knees, finish, the knees are finished, but the hand's still there. The hands only moved a little bit, but the knees have done all their movement. Or drop the hands, but there's still movement in the body. Can you see the difference between the two ways of moving? So let's have another go. Choose one thing to work on. Okay, don't try and work on everything. Choose one thing to work on, which might be the knees bending, it might be the hips seating, or it might be the shoulder sinking. You've got a choice. You can either work with the knees bending the whole way down. I'll tell you what, I'm going to suggest we do 3 different ways of doing it. First time with the knees. Let's all work on the same thing because then it's more powerful. Just the knees bending. So the exercise is the same. Knees are bending, knees are bending, knees are bending. The knees continue to bend at the same speed until the hands reach the thumbs on the crease of the trousers. And this is the position for the thumb with the wrist seated, with the thumb. Just need to show you I'm coming up onto tiptoes so you can see on camera like this, not like this, not dead and floppy, slightly seated with the wrist slightly seated. So there's a slight curve to the arm and the thumb the thumbs on the crease of the trousers. Let's go. Lifting. Place your awareness in the knees. Bending, forward, bending, bending, bending. Stabilizing in the feet as you bend. Sunk, finish, breathing. From the top, release the knees bend, the knees bend, the knees bend, the knees bend. Finish. From the top, chest open, crown of the head up. Hands one fist apart at the height of the shoulders, release the knees. Falling away from the crown of the head. Thumbs on the crease of the thighs, wrists seated, finish bending the knees. One more time. Strong concentration on the posture being upright. Strong concentration on falling away from the crown of the head, the knees bending, the knees bending, the knees bending, the knees bending, finding stability at the end. And shake out the legs. Okay, next time, hip seating, same exercise. If you just indulge me a moment, we'll go through this exercise in detail with a few different training ideas. So from the top, the body's lifted up. Focus onto the hips now. So the knees are going to bend the whole time. The hips are going to seat, seating the hips, seating the hips, seating the hips, seating the hips, sitting down and seating the hips until the thumbs reach the thighs and the hips finish seating. Folded at the hips, come up. Just do it side on so you can see my movement. Tuck my shirt in so you can see the hips change. Upright body, sinking the hips, sinking the hips, sinking the hips, seating the hips, seating the hips, seating the hips. Thumbs on the side, finish. Coming up. Upright body, crown of the head, fall away, bend the knees and seat the hips, 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 seat the hips. Finish. One more time. Okay, good. One more time, we're going to work with the shoulders, okay? So it's the same exercise, everything's exactly the same. The only difference now, of course, is that our concentration or our awareness changes now to really feel what we're doing with our shoulders. And the shoulders follow what the knees are doing, they follow what the hips are doing. So let's go. From the top of the exercise, wrists at the height of the throat, one fist apart. The knees are going to bend, the hips are going to seat, but we're focusing on the shoulders. The shoulders are changing. The shoulders are sinking. The shoulders are relaxing. Shoulders are relaxing. Thumbs reach the thigh. Shoulders are connected. Push the feet into the ground and come up. Let your awareness spread into the sensations through the whole of the shoulder girdle. Bend the knees. Seat the hips, soften the shoulders, release the shoulders. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Let the weight of the arm draw the shoulder into position. Finish. Coming up. Awareness to the shoulders. Upright posture, fall away from the crown of the head. Let the shoulder girdle drop. as the knees bend, as the hips seat, the shoulders settle, and everything finishes when the thumbs reach the thighs. And one more time. From the top, organize the upright body, lift the chest, drop the chin, crown of the head, and fall away. A whole body like a concertina. And connected posture. Let's just shake hands. Good. I'd like to suggest we just maybe turn our unmute. I can't unmute everybody. I don't think I can unmute everybody. I just wanted to ask if there's any questions with working in that way, or any observations that were helpful.
Can I ask? Sorry.
Yeah, Louise. Yeah.
So, when your arms, when we're raising our arms, are we getting a sensation? Not that the shoulder blades are going up a lot, but there is that movement, sort of ripple into the shoulder blades, and then the shoulder blades are. It's not so that I'm getting a sort of a massive lift, but
No. You don't really want the shoulders to come up when you lift the arms.
So the shoulder blades, as I'm coming up, the shoulder blades aren't moving, but as I'm going down, the sensation is that my shoulder blades are.
Yes, definitely. One thing we haven't worked with today is the opening of the lower back. Okay, which is also something that happens at the same time as all the other things happening. The opening of the lower back supports the space that's created for the shoulder blades to sink. So when the lower back changes and opens, the shoulder blades have got room to fall into, which is the change of the shoulders. You know, I could talk all day about the movement in the shoulders. Okay, studied it a lot, and I understand the changes in the shoulders are complicated. And what we have to try and do is just slowly inch our awareness towards feeling things, and out of those feelings come questions. And it's much better that I talk from what you're finding and what you're exploring than just give tons of information. So yeah, it's a really good question. The shoulder blades definitely melt down the back. So the movement of the shoulder, I'll just get in camera so you can see, the movement of the shoulder is this way. So it's going down, but it's also rotating this way. You can think of the shoulder like a soft ball here, and that soft ball doesn't want to be thrown up, forward, or backwards. The ball stays in the same place, it's just that it rotates. Doesn't move around, doesn't do this sort of movement, doesn't do rotation in space, it does a rotation of the ball of the shoulder knuckle rotates rather than forward, up and backwards and down. So the trouble with Tai Chi is the more you look at our bodies and the way our minds work, the more and more complexity there is rather than simplicity. And as soon as we start to try and make it really simple, it loses a whole load of subtlety. So we try and find this kind of way of training that we can feel what we're doing and slowly over time understand it in more depth. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. I hope that there's some.
It makes sense. It's just hard to do.
Yeah,
doing the
yeah.
knees and the hips and the shoulders all together, and like I'm feeling it more, but because I'm sort of feeling it more, it's hard to I just need practice, I suppose.
Yeah, one of the things with Tai Chi, of course, is that you know, we can explain things and we can talk about things, but actually the place where you really get it is in doing it.
Yeah.
It's in doing the exercises that you start to understand them.
Mm.
Like in learning about them and me discussing it and explaining is kind of good for the mind because it gets us clear on what to do. But then actually how we understand it and our own engagement with it is what really gives us the juice of the exercise. Because what we want is we want our bodies to be free and changing. We don't want them locked and held. We want to try to understand, you know, what's the word? Very often our mind and our bodies just split into two different places. Bodies are doing one thing, we don't really know what they're doing. We want to really bring that together so we really feel what we're doing. And we can instigate the changes when we want to. Tai Chi is all about change. It's all about change, not getting stuck in one place, not getting stuck in one idea, not getting stuck physically in one place, so that we're able to flow and move with anything we come across. We can flow, move with it, listen to it, and move with the tide of it. Yeah.
I've got
Good.
one other observation. If I focus on the hips, I feel tension in my lower back. But if I focus on softening and dropping the tailbone, I feel I get that movement, but I don't. I feel less tension in my lower back. Because sometimes I think I'm focusing on this, and for me it works the other way around, I think.
Right.
Not
If
the
we
softening back.
if we do a move, sometimes we do a move and we do it too deliberately.
Yeah, perhaps I was
Right. When we do a move too deliberately, it can get in the way of the other things that should be changing as well.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, the whole of the pelvis wants to be free and hanging from the crown of the head.
Mm.
Right. So we're like suspended from here and free. So the muscles that are normally holding our abdomen in place, holding the hips in place, holding the lower back in place, can soften and let the pelvis find its own place of rest, like a boat on water.
Yeah.
That involves the muscles at the front changing, which are the hips seating, and it involves the muscles of the lower back changing that allow the hips to rotate into the right condition and place. This way, like a boat underneath the hips, crown of the head. So yeah, the lower back has to change and the hips have to change. And if we're too deliberate in just focusing in doing one thing, we can kind of push the lower back out and keep it not changing. So a more refined way of working is that we feel the whole front and back change together. So the hip seat and the lower back opens. And we're gonna start moving more into that as we get into the exercises more. Okay, so yeah, good observation. Right, let's look at some postures of the form. I'm very aware, Esther, you don't know the form. Do what you can and follow what you can, see how you get on. I think this class will be really just to see if you like the quality of what we do, and then I can send you some videos for catching up and things. See if you think it'll be helpful. Okay, good. Let's start with the beginning moves of the form. I'm going to face away from you. I'm facing 12 o'clock with my heels touching, my feet out to the corners. My body's upright, my chin tucked, crown of the head suspended. Fingertip, the middle finger is on the crease of the trousers. There's a space of a fist between the body and the arm, between the inside of the elbow and the body. This is so that I'm not like this with a closed, tight shoulder. So my shoulder sinks and this opens up the arm. The tongue's on the roof of the mouth, just touching the hard palate, the tip of the tongue touching the hard palate and the back of the front teeth. And what am I doing? I'm aligning the body, and I'm aiming to soften and take away as much tension as I can. I often say in this posture, if we just stand in this posture, I often say, imagine a wind would blow through the room, your body would sway. We're not looking for a static posture. We're looking for a changing posture. As you stand, the muscles in the body will change to balance you, I don't want to talk about how muscles work, but the muscles in the body will be changing the whole time. And the result is the body is very, very loose, loosely held, falling away from the crown of the head and finding the balance point of the ball of the foot, the outside edge, and the heel of each foot equally balanced. And that gives you a base or a platform onto which to drop your whole weight. You're going to bend the knees, as we do, obviously the hips seat and the shoulders relax. We go down about an inch. We pass the weight to the right foot. We pick up the heel of the left. There's no weight in the left foot. We pivot the left foot so the left edge is straight, and we push it to the side. There's no weight in the left foot. Now I move my weight across. As I do, I turn my waist to face 1:30 corner. Now all my weight and my alignment is fully over the left foot. I turn my waist back to 12 o'clock. My right toes come with it, and my hands open out. Thumbs now on the crease of the trousers. I haven't lost my upright posture. Let's go from the beginning. So I'm teaching the choreography of the movement. Those that know the choreography can work much more with experiencing the changes throughout the whole body, the seating of the hips, the bending of the knees, the seating of the hips, the softening of the shoulders. The whole body sinks. Pass the connection to the right foot, pick up the left heel, pivot on the ball of the left foot, push it one shoulder width apart. Move on to the left foot, turning the whole time, finishing turning and sinking when you face 1:30. My hips and my shoulders and my gaze is now facing 1:30. Turn the waist back, pivoting on the heel of the right, and the hands pivot on the thumbs. The exercise we just did, breathe in, the hands lift. Still facing 12 o'clock, but I've just turned to the side so you can see me, sinking and finishing. Let's go from the beginning. Standing very loosely, as if a wind would blow, the body would sway. Sinking. Knees bend, hips seat, shoulders relax. Pass to the right foot, pivot on the ball of the left, push the foot one shoulder width apart. Start to sink towards the left foot and turn. Stable and upright over the left, turn back. Weight now 50-50 in both feet. Breathe in. Hands one fist apart at the height of the throat, sink. Knees bend, hips seat, lower back open, shoulders drop, everything finishing together. One more time. Draw your awareness inside. Feel the softening and loosening of the whole body. Be aware of the crown of the head. Be aware of the balance in the ball, the outside edge, and the heel of both feet. As you sink, keep the weight in the ball, the outside edge, and the heel of both feet. To change your connection to the right foot, keep the weight in those three parts of your right foot. As you move to your left, make sure your ball of the foot, the outside edge, and the heel are equally balanced. As you turn back, bring the right toes in, settle into both feet. Breathe in, lift. And sink. Balanced, upright, the weight in those six parts of the feet, nice and stable and connected. Good. Can I have a look at you do those moves, please? I'm aware it's the first movement of the form, and towards the end of the class, we'll go through the whole of the form that we know so far. I'm just going deeper into some of these aspects so we can kind of get a sense for them in your own time. There's absolutely no rush, just take your time. When you get to the end, just start again. Heels together. Draw your focus inside. Good. One more time. Good, thank you. Looking good. There's something, when we start the form, right at the beginning of the form, we sink downwards, we drop about an inch or an inch and a half onto both legs, sink down onto both legs. Then we pass the weight to the right foot. When we do that, if you look at where my center line is of my body, when I sink down and I bend both knees, the knees open out in the direction of the toes. The next move, I don't want to move my body over my right foot in order to move my left. Okay, so how do I do that? When I sink, I go straight down. When I sink to the right foot, I also go straight down. I don't want to bring my weight over my right foot in order to move my left. I want to sink to my right foot in order to move my left. There's a, it's a dynamic step. The pressure that supports my sinking body is dynamic. If I stopped moving, I'd fall over. If I stopped moving, I would fall over. If everything came to a sudden stop, I don't have stability. But in the dropping onto the foot, I have stability. In the process of sinking, there's stability. I'd like us to try this move. And I hope that's enough of an explanation to give it a go and feel it. So the first part, we fall away from the crown of the head. Then the next part, is I drop and I put my awareness into the right foot, and I let my body weight press me onto the right foot. And immediately my left foot is free. As my body weight falls into the left foot, it's like I've got my ball here. It's like as I put my weight into the top hand, it gives support from underneath. The pressure in the ball gives me the stability in the top hand. So the changes in the body, dropping into the legs, dropping onto the right leg, is like my upper body weight pressing into the legs, which gives me the stability to pivot my left foot, push it to the side. But that can only happen while my upper body is pressing into my right leg. As soon as I stop moving, that dynamic buoyancy, if you like, of the beach ball goes. It stops. Let's try it a few times. So, difficult move for some people to get, because it means that the whole body weight has to drop onto one leg. But the stability doesn't come from moving across and having your weight over the leg. The stability comes from the dynamic quality. It's as if you're going to jump out of that leg. When we jump, we drop to the ground and spring off. And just shutting the door. It's a slow motion, dropping to the ground, loading the base, as if you've got a spring in the base, which creates freedom of weight in the other side. So balance can be static balance would be that I bring my body weight over the foot, and then this one's free. Static balance, my body weight stabilizes me. Dynamic balance is that I drop to the foot and momentarily the other foot's free to move. So let's play a little bit with it. Okay, let's play with a slightly wider than shoulder width step. Have a look at this movement. Drop to one foot in order to step to the side. Drop to that foot in order to step. You use that dynamic movement to find the timing to step. If you look at my body, it's not going over my foot then stepping. I'm dropping into my foot in order to spring out of it. Dropping in, spring out, dropping in, spring out. And my body stays in the middle pretty much the whole time. I don't need to move across to spring. Move across and then spring. I drop and spring, drop and spring, drop and spring. What I'm feeling is a compression in my leg. As I sink to that leg, my knee bends, my hips seat, my lower back opens, all those things happen, but they're much more natural is a word that comes to mind, but also another word that comes to mind. I don't have to think about it. Sink in, move across. Now we go to the beginning movement of the form. We do the same thing, but slowly. We sink to both legs. We sink to the right, step across. Sinking and stepping. As we sink, we step. As we sink, we step. The sink is straight down. Step. Move across, turn. Move back. Breathe in, lift. Sink. And settle. I'm just going to check in the time we've got. We've got 10 minutes. What I'd like to do is go through the form that we know. This will give Esther a chance to see what we've been working with and for us to recap on the form. Okay. And then at the end, we'll stop for a little chat, put the unmute and see if there's anything to talk about. Okay, let's go from the beginning of the form.
Nearly done, bloke.
Attention posture. Aware of the crown of the head, aware of the upright chest, opening between the sternum and the abdomen, dropping of the chin long in the back of the neck. First movements of the form, sinking, both feet, weight in both feet. Dynamic onto the right, step left, move on to the left, turning to the corner, up past one, turn back, bring the foot and the hands round. Settle, upright, breathe in, lift. Sink. Everything finishing together. Turning, sit back to the left, turning to hold the ball, ward off right. Step to 12 o'clock with the left foot, ward off left. Turn to 1:30, step right to 3 o'clock, ward off right. Roll back, facing 3 o'clock into the center, sink and press. Sit back to the left, move into the center, sink and push. Sit away from the fingertips onto the left foot, turn, facing 12 o'clock. Onto the right foot, turn, facing 1:30, hold the ball. Facing 12 o'clock, drawing the left toes, step to 9 o'clock with the left heel, move into single leg, facing 9 o'clock, sinking. Move forward onto the left foot, turn, lifting hands, drop the hands. Step 10 with the right foot, shoulder stroke. Move forward onto the right foot, turning to face 12 o'clock. White crane, spreads wings. Brush left knee, twister. Make sure you're upright, your hips and your shoulders are facing 9 o'clock, shoulder width stance in the bow stance. Drop onto the left foot. Play guitar facing 9 o'clock, just the heel of the left lightly on the ground. Turn open. Brush left knee, twister facing 9 o'clock. Sit back, drop the right hand, turn open to 8 o'clock. Move on to the left foot, lift the hands and the knee, turn, place the right foot, walk onto it, keep turning. Step left, move into the 50-50 position, square to 9 o'clock and punch. Fold, facing 8 o'clock. Sit back, move in and push. Last little bit, sit away from the fingertips. Turn the right toe, the left toes come in, the right thumb on the center of the chest. Move to the left foot, the hands open up, drop onto the left, hands cross at the bottom and lift, cross hands. Cross hands all the way to the left foot, the hands are crossed at the height of the throat, not too close to the body, nice round open posture. Have a look at that last move again. From the punch, I'll do it facing this way, from the punch, turn to 8 o'clock. Sit back, the right hand is drawn through the left. Move in, hands turn over, and this is a push. Sit away from the fingertips, long in the arms, all the weight's on the right foot, turn. Right hand on the center of the chest, left toes come in as you turn. Move on to the left foot, the hands open up. Drop the hands like our number 2 loosening exercise. Bring in the right foot. As the hands cross, the right foot touches. From the punch, I'll do it facing the corner. Turn to 8 o'clock. Sit back. Move into push. Sit away from the fingertips. Turn. Push off from the left. Sink onto the left. Drop the hands all the way to the left. Step right. Ending up with the feet parallel. The hands crossed, height of the throat, with the right on the outside. We're kind of running out of time. Just if you'd like to unmute and if there's any questions in the last few minutes, if there's anything with your own practice or anything you'd like me to specifically focus on as we go into the next term, that would help you.
Yeah. That dynamic move that you were just describing on the first move of the form, I've really struggled with that. And what you said tonight really helps. It's like a missing link. Does as opposed to shifting the weight to get it into one foot, does that dynamic move come in at other parts of the form as well?
Yeah, all the time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So here's one for you, David. Quickly for you, because this is a tricky move. From single whip, right? From single whip, you want to turn into this posture.
Yeah.
This is a dynamic sinking. To do it, you don't come up. When I first teach, I say bring your alignment over the foot, find the door frame, the axis around which you can turn, and then do the step. A little bit robotic, okay? But it gets us to be aware of the posture, and it gets us to be aware of where our weight is. But you can do the same move like that. Drop in dynamically onto the left foot at the same time as you step with the right. Can you see the difference? From moving over the left foot, turning, stepping. The stepping then comes because your balance is over your left foot. Whereas here, dynamic movement. And you can slow it down and do it dynamically as well. It's a bit more complicated, but you can slow it down and do it dynamically as well. Same thing. It comes in every single time we move on to a one foot or the other in the form, that type of movement takes place.
Wow.
So that's something to, it's like the way Tai Chi's taught really is in layers. And it's like, get one thing down, work on it for a few months, feel you're able to do it, feel it's not overwhelming, add another little bit of detail. And slowly we build up the repertoire of, it's, we don't have belts or anything like the other systems of martial arts, but in the same way, then you'd be moving up the belt as you go on to the next layer, really, of the next kind of like ability or and it just gets too overwhelming to try and do too much at the same time. So we focus on one thing, get it right, move on. Yeah, good. Okay. If there are any more questions or thoughts or observations of what you're working on? Esther, how was that? First class on Zoom. I can't hear you. I don't know if you're muted.
Sorry, I don't know if it's my headphone. Can you hear me?
Very, very gently. It's very low volume.
Oh, I did. I think it's my speaker.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, got you now.
I was just saying, I thought you were all very inspiring.
Excellent. Great.
Thank
Lovely.
you very much for including me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, you're very welcome.
Love to have another go.
Okay, I'll speak to you by email and we'll see if it's appropriate and if you feel it's right for you. Okay,
Very much.
you're welcome. Great. So this term we will definitely move ahead with the form, but I want to go deeper into what we already know. I want to kind of unpack some of the things we've got already and work and be led by kind of questions that you come up with as well. Because yeah, everyone's at a different place with our practice. So you asking me things like, Janice, you asked me about the arms, that's really useful because that then it gets more specific how I can kind of help and share with you. I don't know if that was enough detail today, but I hope it's
It was good.
Yeah, great. Good, excellent. Good. Okay, we'll leave it there for tonight. I will send you the recording tomorrow. I'll get that up on YouTube and send it to you tomorrow. And yeah, have a good week. And again, any questions during the week about your practice, just email me. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye.